Warning, you are about to enter the BGP suite. No thongs, no boy shorts, no thigh highs, no commandos are permissible. BGP, big girl panties only. So pull up to woman up. And no, please don't leave with your panties in a bunch.
Hello, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to dive right into our topic today. First of all, let me not be rude. Welcome to BGP. The topic today is Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, better known as R. Kelly. I don't want to sound like a pirate, but R. Kelly. His name should be P. Kelly, if you ask me, because he like peeing on people. He's a pervert and a pedophile. And he likes to be recognized as the Pied Piper of R&B. I must say I have been a little bit going back and forth with people on social media for the last week since the verdict came out. And I want to dive deep into this conversation because I know it's a lot of people that feel some kind of way about it. He had been convicted of racketeering and sex trafficking. One of my major concerns is what took so long? What took so long? Keep in mind, I'm an advocate for those women that have been sexually assaulted and domestic violence, people that have dealt with domestic violence. So there's already a sensitive place in my heart about this whole verdict. And people have been so insensitive, if you ask me, about how they deal with it. Should we be listening to his music still? What took so long? We always are, in the Black community, we always are hard on our icons and things of that nature. So my question that I want to pose first to you all is, should we continue listening to R. Kelly's music? Is it something that we should now ban? I remember there was a thing called Mute R. Kelly. You remember that? It was a hashtag Mute R. Kelly. And I'm going to be real honest. In the beginning, I was like, I ain't listening to him no more. And then recently, this meme that kind of went viral that D.L. Hughley has said something about, well, look what America has done to us, and we're still doing the national anthem and this, that, and the other. And I did try for a moment to listen to R. Kelly. And the first song that came to mind was Age Ain't Nothing But a Number. And so as I started listening more to the music, it just seemed as though he's talking about young children. So now my head is just stuck in that place. What are your thoughts on that, Mona or Neisha? Neisha.
You asking me? Okay.
Yes.
So I literally just had like a big old argument yesterday on Clubhouse because I gave him a heads up that we would be discussing R. Kelly. And there were men and women that was just like, so should I stop playing the music? I don't see anything wrong with it. It's just the music. What he did is separate from the music. We can't separate it, you know. Ugh. And I said, that's your choice. You get to live with that decision. For me, I stopped listening to his music a long time ago. Long time ago, before he was convicted, because when I started to really listen to the music after Aaliyah, I was like, these songs sound perverted. And when that incident kind of happened with him and quote-unquote Dame Dash and Jay-Z and all that, when they were supposed to do this tour, there was rumors that was already coming out about him and how he moves with little girls. So I stopped listening to his music a long time ago. I'm not a fan of it. I get disgusted when I hear it. If it's played at an event that I'm at, you won't see Neisha dancing to it or bobbing her head because I just think he's disgusting. So for me, it's a no.
I agree, yeah. What about you, Mo? What do you think about listening to R. Kelly still?
I say that we would have to stop listening to a lot of celebrities' music because of accusations that have happened, whether they've been convicted or not. So I'm going to stay on code today. I have an answer for you, but this is a public forum ran by white people, and I'm going to keep my answer private and amongst my people.
Okay. Well, then let's go to the next question. Well, let me also try to
But what's your answer, though? Because
Well,
you never answered.
Again, yeah. I don't. I tried. I really did. I pulled up the catalog on YouTube and just started listening, and I cannot find one song that does not take me there to that place of feeling like he's talking about underage children. Just the simple fact that like the age ain't nothing but a number, and the song I don't see nothing wrong with a little bump and grind. Now, if you had to say I don't see nothing wrong, clearly you must be talking about somebody underage, because it ain't nothing wrong with bumping and grinding with an adult or someone of age, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't. After those two songs played, I just said I can't. And I had banned him from my playlist long time ago, much like you, Neisha, about right after the Leah thing kind of came out, and it was more, the more I listened to it, it just seemed like it just wasn't cool. It just wasn't cool. And I'm sorry, white, black, or indifferent, I'm not giving nobody a pass that is a pervert, that is a pedophile. I can't do it. I can't do it. So I know Mona says she's not going to share her answer, but we're going to go to my next question that I have a concern with. And why do you think it took so long for him to get convicted? Because clearly back in the day, 90s is when they first started. So it's been decades before this all came about. And granted, just like what Mona said, there have been other celebrities that have done some nasty ass shit like this.
Yes.
And didn't pay on the level that he's about to pay, because it looks like he could end up in prison for life. So why do you think it took so long?
I think the Me Too movement changed the game. I think that's what changed the game. Before that, there was always whispers and talks about what celebrities did in the industry with underage girls.
Right.
From the Playboy guy,
Elvis,
like all these people. It's always been talk, but because of that, and they wanted to make a point that we stand, with victims and whatnot, I think that's why they kind of pushed it. And then that documentary that came out changed the game too. I mean, once the lens was more on him,
yes,
it was like easier for investigators and whatnot to look at, well, how is he moving? Who is he taking? Because, I mean, let's be clear. He was convicted of sex trafficking by way of minors, moving them across different states. So if you know that you're being watched and you know that's your little vice, why would you then take minors into different states when you're, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's why it was kind of easier this time to get him, although it's crazy because the first time he was in trouble, they had video. They had video of him pissing on somebody. And he still was like, oh, that's not enough. That's not enough evidence. I'm not guilty. It's like, really? Really?
Right.
So, yeah, right. I think the Me Too game, I think that changed it. That changed it. That's my opinion.
What say you, Miss Mo?
Well, I want to take it from the beginning. The definition of virginity is the state of never having had sexual intercourse. And we forget that both little boys and little girls lose their virginity. So when a little girl loses her virginity, we panic. We don't want to know that our daughters are having sex, let alone they've lost their virginity. But when we think about little boys, it's sort of like machismo. Welcome to manhood, your rite of passage. You got your little penis wet. And I've also even overheard men, because remember I worked in a beauty shop, talking about their sons losing their virginity, and they wish that they could have lost their virginity, with the young lady that their sons did because she was fine. And the reason being is because heterosexual fathers want their sons to have heterosexual sex. But we have to be very careful, and we have to be very concerned about how our children lose their virginity. Because both of us, male and female, young and old, when we think about our first sexual experiences, we think it's going to be the moon and the stars, and we're going to hear trumpets and fireworks are going to go off. But you flip it to that other side, and some people they feel awkward, they feel disgusted, they feel degraded, they feel like they've been used. So you have this one side that enjoyed the sexual intercourse, and they felt sensuous, erotic, turned on, very pleasurable, and this other side that feels awful. And so we forget that those people that experienced that first time, and you can't take your first time back, those people turn into adults. So you got some adults that are going to continue to have sex and enjoy it. And then we're going to have some adults that feel violated, so they begin to violate other people. So why did it take so long? If black people in the black community really cared about little boys and girls, when we got wind of, or his close people in his close proximity got wind of, when R. Kelly was sexually violated at 7 years old, and that's a man thing, so the men should have handled that. If they would have handled that, he probably would have got the therapy he needed. It probably would have been said that this was not your fault. Here's some therapy for you. And if that would have happened, he probably never would have sexually violated Aaliyah. And remember, Aaliyah was on that record company at 12 years old. So he married her illegally at 15. So who's to say that he was not violating her at 12, 13, 14? Because we have to remember that it takes a few months to get in the studio, pick out those songs, create that music. So I have a question. Because both of you guys have daughters. What does the conversation sound like when you find out that your daughter has been sexually violated by an older man? He has taken her innocence. What do you say to her? What does that conversation sound like?
Well, we talked about this on a previous episode in regards to if your daughter, came to you and said that, someone you knew, violated her. The first thing I'm going to do, my concern is for her and her well-being and her safety and getting her, to a place where she feels comfortable to tell me what happened. Then the next thing would be to get her to a doctor for treatment, to make sure that there's no harm that was done, or if it is, what we can do to take care of that and get her in therapy. I'm definitely going to make sure that that person who violated her is dealt with accordingly. If that person isn't dealt with prior to the police getting to that person, yeah, he's a walking target. And I'll use those words nicely. He's a walking target in my book. That's what will happen. There will be no community protecting him. There will be no stories of, oh, this happened many, many years ago and nothing happened. There will be no, oh, it's because other cultures are doing this, so we're going to give him a pass. There will be no, I give two fucks about them saying, well, this happened to him as a child. None of that would matter to me in that moment. It would be more of me avenging the innocence that he took from my child. So that would be my response.
And granted, he was molested as a child. I get that. Hurt people. You begin to think that those sexual experiences, you begin to violate others. You hump on people. You hump on stuffed animals. These are things that have been shown to happen in young children that have been molested. Somebody failed R. Kelly as a child. And so therefore, these horrible, disgusting practices that he began to do, he began to like it and enjoy it. And so it seems. Because he almost started making a mockery out of the media and the people that he was, even just by calling himself the Pied Piper.
Pied Piper.
Yes. If you know the story of the Pied Piper.
Yes.
He was using that as a way of saying, like, almost making it as if it was okay.
Okay, I still want to go back to my question.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a timeline.
Yeah.
So, my question was, what would you say, and what does that sound like? And we know that her mother did not protect her. This is my daughter. This is my baby girl. So do you go full metal jacket and cuss and scream and holler and seek revenge, or do you go, baby, little girl, I know something terrible happened to you by an older man, but you're going to have to take one for the team because you're going to be rich and famous. And I think that's what happened. Because like Neisha said, I don't have a daughter, but if I had one, Jesus, Buddha, God, the devil is not going to stop me from seeking revenge. And I don't give a damn about no money. So how does that relationship turn out when I know that my mama did not protect me? We just talked about toxic mother-daughter relationships, and they probably fell apart at that time. But let me finish. Because so they say that children that come from two-parent households fare better than children that come from single mother parenthoods. So not only did her mother fail her, her father failed her, her uncle failed her, and her auntie, Miss Gladys Knight, failed her too, because they all were the adults that got her into this industry. And we have to remember that little boys and little girls, and I'm not trying to make any excuses for what R. Kelly did. I'm just trying to get the background on it. Little boys and little girls are not mentally or physically developed or mature enough to know what has just occurred when they first have their first sexual intercourse. They don't know if they've been violated or not. So, has it ever occurred to anybody that the reason why R. Kelly went on to be attracted to young, underdeveloped little girls is because of his first sexual intercourse with his, they say, sister, who was a young, undeveloped teenager? And that transpired into what he did as an adult, because sexually he never grew up.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
I do believe that when it comes to like trauma, if it's not treated, you definitely are stunted. Like there's studies that have proven that for women, we're not technically mentally and physically grown until we hit 25, and for men it's 28 or 29. So if something happens trauma-wise at an age before that, and you don't get the treatment or therapy you need to deal with it, it's very easy for you to be stunted at that particular age. So if he received that, if he was, not even if, because it has been proven that it was true, was assaulted at a very, very early age by his sibling, which not only he, but his brother also talked about, right? And his brother is locked up and was messed up behind it. But if he is assaulted at that early age and never, ever received therapy for that trauma, it's very easy for him to just kind of be stunted at that growth when it comes to interacting with the same sex of that particular assaulter.
Right.
And in this case, it's a woman, right? So, yeah, it's definitely possible.
Because
I get it.
hold on.
Okay.
Because his brother said that R. Kelly was 7 and he was 6. And this happened over a 6-year period. And the brother, Casey, said it was disgusting. But he said, R. Kelly said, I'm not a virgin anymore. And he seemed to enjoy it. And where the brother Casey didn't get along with the sister, that drew R. Kelly and his sister even closer. So what I'm saying here is, had he not gotten the treatment that he needed, he wouldn't have violated Aaliyah. And had they said something about it, and it's not like she would not have been the star that she was at the time, because sex sells and drama sells and controversy sells, he wouldn't have done what Neisha said and came out with that next tape where he had another underage girl who Sparkle verified was her niece and did that video and peed on her. So we keep on feeding this monster. And every time this monster gets the gross nutrition that he needs. He just gets bigger and bigger and arrogant, and it turns into many victims.
Yes.
Yeah. If I could just kind of offer what Neisha said, there's a part that happens that's called arrested development. Mm-hmm. When you have experienced this trauma, you do end up stuck.
Yes.
Your mind, you don't even develop. They said the boy could not read. He was illiterate. He couldn't read. So he was stuck at that age. He no longer mentally developed. Mm-hmm. And so what he did, much like what you said, Mona, he started doing these disgusting, disturbing things, and almost as if he was flaunting it, like it was no big deal. In my opinion, I don't feel sorry for the man. Yes, I feel they in his childhood they failed him. As the more and more somebody in his corner had to have told him, this is wrong what you are doing. He knew it was wrong. At some point, you know right from wrong, even if you can't read, spell, write, whatever. You know right from wrong. I don't feel sorry for him. I think yes, his family and the people in his circle failed him in getting him the help that he needed. But once this went on and on and on, and I think where the media and everybody else failed him is that he kept getting off. And just like anybody else, you get away with something, you continue to do it. You continue to do it worse, and you continue to do it worse because you begin to feel untouchable.
Yep.
This is something that they cannot do anything about. And as far as Aaliyah is concerned, what happens a lot with sexual assault, people are groomed. They're groomed into thinking, don't say anything, don't tell anything. She could have this could have been happened to her for a long time. They may be a victim prior to her.
Yeah.
That this happened to, and she didn't tell her mother. And then when her mother knew, I'm not exactly how she handled the situation. Clearly, they didn't handle it in the right way because she would have been snatched up out of there, and he would have been dealt with. They didn't handle it correctly, and so this thing just snowballed.
First of all, it's inappropriate to have a minor in a recording studio at all times of the night and the morning by herself. And allegedly, they are saying that R. Kelly's mother slept with R. Kelly too. And they both vowed, her and Aaliyah, and like I said, alleged, because I don't know it's true, her and Aaliyah vowed to never ever talk about it. And even Dame Dash said that Aaliyah would not talk about what happened between her and R. Kelly. All she said is he was a bad man. So when bad things happen to people, and I'm not justifying anybody violating anybody, I'm just trying to say that there's many layers to this, and it has to be stopped. Have you ever wondered why some kids withdraw? Some kids start cutting. Some kids are depressed.
Yes.
Some kids start abusing drugs and alcohol. Some kids have problem with intimate relationships because they have never resolved that issue. And we never ask our children, how was your first sexual experience? Were you traumatized? Because some people, like I say, they it was the bomb. Some people are like, is that all? Some people are like, I'll never do it again. Or if I do it again, I'm going to get back to people. So he's just, whatever he learned to do, he got that from his sister.
Right.
And he just started getting more perverted with it. We have to start taking care of our children. And we have to be able to say that somebody's sexual deviancy is not more valuable than my child's innocence. And we have to stop believing that money is a cure-all when our children have been violated. There's not enough money in the world that can take that back. You can't take that pain back. You can't take that humiliation back. You can't take how they felt at that time.
We have to also remember, too, that there is a thing called Stockholm Syndrome, where a lot of those girls got into that house and they began to protect R. Kelly.
Yes.
They began to lie. They began to make
Very
light of
common.
the situation that was happening. And this is common, not just in sexual assault, but in domestic violence
And
as well.
abuse
You
at all.
begin
Yes.
to protect your abuser.
Yep.
And that is what I feel happened. And he began to have mind control over all of them. And their setup, even as sick as it was, began to seem normal to them. It was a bit of normalcy there. And they wanted to stay.
So why did they protect him?
Because it's like she said with the Stockholm Syndrome, it's very common for the victim to protect the abuser.
Take
Because in
away
their mind-
the Stockholm Syndrome.
Fear. It
Why
could be
is that?
fear.
Yeah.
It could be they want to be in the industry
Yes.
so bad, so they allow it. The thing that I hate most is that the parents. I would have bulldozed that whole damn house down, set it on fire. Something. I'm coming to get my baby. I don't. There would be nothing that you could do for me to not come get my child. I just don't feel like. I think, like you said, some of them just for the money, for the because they got them with R. Kelly.
Yes,
Right.
for the affiliation.
Yeah,
for
they
the
just let it
association,
go.
for the fame,
And
for the
shame
glamour.
on them.
Because do you think that all of those women, because some of them were not underage, some of them was
True.
grown-ass women.
Grown.
Do you think those women would have done what they did for as long as they did if it was not a famous entertainer?
No,
Probably
I don't
not.
think so. I don't think
Probably
so.
not. But for the underage, you never know. I mean, when it comes to sex trafficking, it's very easy for them to be brainwashed
Yeah,
and to
that
think
grooming
that
process.
and to think that it's normal after a while. But for the adults, probably not if it wasn't R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember, when it comes to trafficking, when it comes to convincing underage to give it a try, especially you're going to meet R. Kelly, they usually send out the older ones to tell them, you know, what it's like. Tell them that it's, you know, you're going to be in the industry. This is what you could do. You have these opportunities, and you're meeting R. Kelly, right? So it's easy for them to be convinced by the other people who they call the handlers or the groomers, that, you know, of what it's going to be like, and they just kind of fall into routine. Like eventually it becomes a normal thing. But I mean, I'm going to agree with you. If that was my child, there would be nothing that could stop me from getting her out that house. Nothing.
Not a thing. No police, nothing.
And going back to Aaliyah, because I mean, I don't think we should really just solely focus just on her. But when you listen to the testimony that was given in this particular trial, and you find out that those rumors that they used to whisper about were true, that yes, he was caught on a truck with Aaliyah at an underage having sex with R. Kelly. Yes, she was pregnant and forced to have an abortion. Yes, they did get married and they end up having the marriage annulled. When you hear that, I feel sorry for Aaliyah.
I do too.
Because I think Aaliyah experienced the last, you know, the years of her life from teenager on up to the ending of 21, 22 was hell. Because when I look at the men in the industry that say they were in love with Aaliyah and were shooting a shot, Dame Dash included, these were all old
Jay-Z.
men. Yeah.
Because Jay-Z was with her before Dame Dash. They were all older men.
All older men while she was still a baby.
So sad.
A baby.
But her parents allowed it to happen.
I agree.
We gonna get rich. So you sacrifice your children for fame and fortune and money. And that's a problem there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. So my next question would be, do you think there's other people besides R. Kelly that should be going to jail today?
Absolutely.
His entourage, the parents.
The parents the parents that allowed it because they thought their kids was going to be famous. The people that was working for him that saw what was going on and did nothing until court showed up, right?
Exactly.
Her uncle, because he was the one that introduced her to R. Kelly and knew that man was full of, you know what? Like her mom, which is her mom still alive?
I think she is.
I think
Yes,
she is.
I think
Okay.
her father passed.
Her father
Yeah,
passed.
father died.
but- Okay, you know, like they definitely should be, and they definitely should be held accountable for not protecting those girls, and for turning a blind eye when they saw things happening. I mean, even his wife, like even her. But then initially, I was going hard on her because I'm like, how can you not know that your husband is doing this in your very house? But I recently was listening to the daughter who made a statement last week, and she was just like, you know, I send my thoughts to the victims and whatnot, and I'll be praying for you, but I need y'all to keep in mind as y'all pray for me too, that she basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, they experienced things in the house too.
That was my next.
And I'm not saying that it was a sexual abuse. It could have been a physical abuse. Like Drea, people talk about her, but she was low key scared of that man. Mm-hmm. So there's no telling what the kids saw too. So it wasn't just the people that wasn't tied to him. It was the wife too. So I feel bad for her too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't feel bad for the wife. When he was charged with the Mann Act, and the Mann Act was created so that they wouldn't traffic white women across state lines. It first was implemented on Jack Johnson, the boxer, when he took a white woman across state lines, and then that was only supposed to be for white people, and then they implemented it on black men. So when you talk about sex trafficking, that means that multiple people are involved. First of all, let's go back to everybody. When you're in in the industry, or when you're in any kind of business, you have a camp, and everybody talks. Everybody knows what's going on. Everybody is whispering, "Hey, Neisha, did you hear blah, blah, blah?" And then Neisha be like, "Hey, Adrianne, have you heard?" So everybody in that camp knows. And so there was one article that said he was like a mafia boss or something. R. Kelly is not articulate enough to be a mafioso boss or have this mob organization. But like I said, when you talk about sex trafficking, it involves multiple people. So absolutely, everybody needs to go. From the publicist to the promoter to the engineer to the musicians to the background singers to the background dancers to everybody that transported those children, from the ones that picked them up from the mall, from McDonald's,
from
because this is public record that they were being picked up from schools, from the parents, and from the people that visited R. Kelly's house and knew them young ladies was up in there, down to his ex-wife, because she knew those young ladies were up in there. It was enough young ladies up in there to start a revolt. It was enough young ladies up in there to kick his butt, and somebody somebody run out the house. And like, I said in one of our other broadcasts, I wouldn't have a problem running out butt naked to save my life. Everybody got to go. Because if they only charge R. Kelly, justice has not been served in its entirety. And for us to stop this, we got to tell. And see, we don't want to tell on our sisters, our brothers, our uncles, our cousins, our friends.
No snitching policy, no snitching.
No family. But once you violate a child, or once you violate anybody, male or female, they are no longer family. They are no longer friends. They are the enemy. So to send a message that you will not do this, you got to get everybody. My thing is this. How can you wake up, go to work, get a paycheck, and know that somebody is held hostage in a home, that somebody is kidnapped, that somebody is being held against their will, that terrible, degrading things are being done to them, and you sleep well at night and you go and you cash that check. So for everyone that helped him get those girls to whatever destination, house, backyard, backseat of the car, alleyway, y'all need to go to jail too.
I agree.
Every last one of y'all, because we're not going to be able to stop that if it's not done. Y'all knew what was going on, but you, like Neisha said, you turned a blind eye. You play like you didn't see nothing. You don't know that he didn't do that because you was getting a check. You got to go too.
But I mean, there was a report, so I don't know how true it is. I'm just going to say, allegedly, that now R. Kelly is saying that to reduce his time, so that he does not get life, he's willing to open up his mouth and sing like a canary with the other people that's involved, because it's not just him. There's other people too. And when I think about it, as somebody pointed out to me recently, you notice not many of the people in the industry speak on R. Kelly's situation. When you ask them about it, mute, nothing. And I know there's a certain celebrity right now that was accused of kind of similar the same thing. And you know what he did? He left the country. He is still in that other country and won't come back home. And he started Def Jam. And nobody is saying anything. They just be like, oh, he's such a great guy. Oh, he's so smart. Oh, his thoughts are very provoking when he shares his tweets, shares his inspirational posts on Instagram and whatnot. But he's accused of similar things, and he left the country. But, I agree. We definitely got to stop protecting violators. We definitely need to speak up. We definitely need to send a message when it happens initially, so that less victims less people become victims, but it takes people speaking up and people protecting them and people feeling comfortable enough to talk and admit that this happened. Because sometimes when you're a victim, you don't talk.
Yeah.
You do break down. You do get quiet. You don't know how to get it out for fear of, retaliation or brainwashing. Like you don't know. So, yeah.
There's a saying that says, when you see something, say something. And a lot of us, especially in our culture, we live by this thing of, that's not my business.
Mm-hmm.
We turn, or we don't say nothing. Mm-hmm. I think it's time for us to be a voice for the voiceless, especially some kids. These kids were not protected. The children were not protected. True enough, there were older girls in the situation that needed to be protected as well. But when you talk about some minors, some kids that don't have, and their own parents ain't trying to help them, I think we really failed them. And I think each and every one of those parents need to stand trial. They need to be investigated. They need to be looked at. DCFS needs to be involved. Something needs to happen because, this is not fair. This is not right.
See, black people always say, I'll kill for mine. Till it's time to kill for
Exactly.
theirs. Black people always say, oh, you can't do that to my child. But they let things happen to their child. Black people say, I'll go to jail for mine. Till it's time to go to jail for theirs. It's 2021. History keeps on repeating themselves because we keep on allowing it to. We keep on being cowards. We got to stop being cowards. There are not children in this world, or enough children in this world, that will sit up and make a story about them being molested, male and female. And the thing about it is that females report more than males.
Yes.
But there's a large percentage of males that are molested too. So you had these children. If a child come up to you and say anything about somebody touching them inappropriate, I don't care if it's the new dude that's dicking you down and the dick is made of gold. You're supposed to believe in your child. I got a grandbaby, 8 years old. We didn't already had to talk. Anybody touch this and this and this, get to telling, because we don't have no secrets around here. And it may sound too much for them, but we live in a world that is over-sexualized.
Yes.
Exactly.
We live in a world where grown-ass men that probably could get any adult woman that they wanted to have sex with is looking at kids. So we have to be the ones that kind of take away their innocence as their parents versus them going out in the world and letting a stranger take away their innocence. So we have to have those talks with both our young ladies and our young men. Period.
In closing, I just want to say that I think it's real important that we teach our young girls good touch, bad touch. I shared this before. There's plenty of videos that can tell you how to have these discussions where they feel comfortable enough. That's why it's good to have that good communication where they feel comfortable to tell you when something is not right. Parents, we are responsible to take care of our children, protect them at all costs. These kids, these women, and apparently a boy also was mentioned in the verdict, were not protected. We failed those kids. And we got to do better. So in closing, if you guys have anything.
I just say, protect your babies. Keep that line of communication open. Understand that money is not the answer to everything. I'm not comfortable with the no snitching policy. I think that when a person violates, they need to be dealt with. And it should never be I'm going to just keep my mouth shut. I'm going to mind my business. I'm going to just pretend like no, they need to be dealt with. And we can't let years and years and years go by before we finally do something. Am I glad that this man was dealt with? Yes. But I just hate that it took all of this time for him to be held accountable for his actions. There's more people in the industry that we listen to music-wise, or we watch in these movies and these television shows, or, you know, could be somebody you work with. You never know. But there's more people that are just like him who have been able to get away with things, and I think they also need to be held accountable. We need to also get comfortable with these conversations also, because this was brought to my attention when I had this discussion about there are some nasty women out there too that like to violate both girls and boys. True. They also need to be held accountable, and just leave the babies alone. Let them enjoy their innocence, and that's it for me. That's my final thought.
Yeah.
The record executives should be prosecuted, as well as all the other people that I mentioned, because they allowed this to happen, because they were trying to milk this young man's genius and get the millions that they could get for their recording or their record companies. They need to go down too. Here's my thing. Epstein died and he has not been on trial. Weinstein, I don't know where he's at, but he has not been to trial. All these other Caucasian sexual violators have not been put to trial. And I don't like the fact that, yes, R. Kelly is guilty. Yes, R. Kelly should do some time. I just don't like the fact how they are using black men as the poster for sexual deviancy. Like black men are the ones that taught white men how to be sexual deviants. Mm-hmm. Again, R. Kelly deserves to go to jail because he could have stopped when they busted him the first time. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He just got more arrogant, and he just got more greedy and more deviant, and that's how we know he had a big problem. Mm-hmm. So along with his sentence, I hope that he gets the long overdue therapy that he needs for him being the victim and him turning out to be a victimizer. For the females who were truly victims, that truly lost their innocence, that truly were under the mind control and the mystique of Robert Kelly, I hope you find closure. I know that will be difficult for you to do, because that's something that you got to wake up to and go to sleep to for the rest of your life. So I hope for the ones that were genuinely violated that you find some happiness and some peace in your life, in your mind, and in your heart. But for these little heifers that just got in because they wanted to be in the presence of R. Kelly, and they rolled with it, and they didn't have a problem with it, and they got peed on, and they got done any kind of way that he asked them to get done, and they was rolling with it, and they was shopping, and they was in the high-rise buildings, and they was down until the money ran out. If there is a hell, there's a special place for you. Mm-hmm. And I hope your panties is infused with gasoline so you can burn the hell. That's my final thought.
To the male victims that was also victims of R. Kelly, my thoughts go out to you too. Both men and women that were affected by R. Kelly, my thoughts go out to you. Because again, people keep forgetting and their focus is on women. There were male victims as well that had to deal with it. And also, and it wasn't even alleged, it was brought up, that man was spreading STDs to these people. And that's my thoughts go out to all the victims, because now they got to walk around with an incurable STD for the rest of their lives. And I will agree with Miss Mona as well as Miss Adrianne, as far as if you're better parents and you have that communication with your kids, they would be open and comfortable with telling you something's not right, or this person did something to me, which would probably have lessened the number of victims that came forward. But I I apologize. I feel like the people that were in your lives dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Things definitely could have been different and handled differently. They should have been handled differently. And like Ms. Mona said, I hope you get the closure and the therapy that you need to be all right. That's it. I'm sorry.
Me Too has opened up the door. Me Too has opened up Pandora's box. Like Neisha said, R. Kelly has said he gonna be snitching, and it's a whole lot of people that's going to come out because they don't just want it to be thought that men are only ones out here sexually violating people. And I'm just gonna bring it up. So, rapper Daz Dillinger from the group The Dog Pound under Death Row Records came out a couple of days ago, and he said that August Alsina was not Jada Pickett's first entanglement. It has been said, and this is allegedly, because Neisha said women violate children too. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to keep it 100. It's going to be equal since we want equality for both sides. And it was said that there was a knock at the door, and Chris Kelly, the other half of Criss Cross, you know, that little rap group that wore their clothes backwards, said Jada was at the door. He gave the people that was with him some food and some weed, and Jada and Chris Kelly, who was then 15 years old and she was 22 years old, was heard getting a freak on, knocking them boots and bang, bang, banging. So there's women out here that are violating people. Young men, be careful of them women. I know that it excites you to think that you know, getting with a cougar, but you never know the effects that first time with that older, experienced, perverted-ass woman might have on you for the rest of your life. This is something we do have to take very seriously. Like I say, little boys don't report it like little girls, because it's a part of their manhood.
Rite to passage.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about it all. We're going to get it all. So for everybody that championed Me Too and thought their day wasn't coming, look out.
Your day is coming,
Your
too.
day is coming.
Yes.
We good?
Yeah, we good. Nothing further.
BGP. We out. Bye.